This video is supported in part by Storyblocks. Hello, welcome back, and let's just skip the intro and get right into it. This is a 4-part mini-series within a series where I try and reuse a bunch of old scrap fabrics from my style pile. Last episode we made a fox plushie all out of scrap fabrics and materials, and in this episode we'll be trying to make an eye mask, aka sleeping mask. So let's get started. Project number 2. The second thing that I'm gonna try and make out of scraps is a sleeping mask. I am one of those people who can't stand any light at all when I'm trying to sleep, so I live for good, comfortable eye masks. These are all the ones I already own. So I just hopped onto Google and I found a lot of free patterns for eye masks. Now it is a pretty simple shape, so I recommend just downloading a free one from Tilly and the Buttons, Craftsy, or A Beautiful Mess. I'm going to use this free pattern from Tilly and the Buttons. When you're printing it out, make sure to print it at 100% of the original image's scale. And I like this pattern because it has this box you can measure once you've printed it out to make sure that it's the right size. So I cut around the thick outer line to cut the pattern out, and what I'm going to need to make this mask is 3 bits of scrap fabrics. 1, I'm going to need a nice cotton for the outside of the mask, and I chose this woven cotton, which was the same one that I used for the back of the plushie. 2, I'm going to need a nice comfortable material for the back of the mask, like silk or t-shirt fabric, and because that part will be on my face, I used the rest of that white t-shirt that I also used in the plushie. And I made sure that the scraps were big enough to fit the pattern piece on. All good. And 3, I will also need batting for the inside of the mask, which will make it comfier and also block out light when wearing it. I don't have any brand new batting, but what I do have is a lot of old shoulder pads that I've cut off the inside of vintage dresses and jackets. An old padded bra would also work as well. Okay, so moving on to cutting out the fabric, I place the pattern piece down on top of the first piece of cotton, and through the magic of editing, bam! Here's the front piece cut out. I did the same thing for the back piece. Haha. Editing! Woo! In reality, I pinned it to the fabric and cut around it with scissors. And the inside stuffing, the batting stuff, well, it needs to be smaller than the other 2 pieces because it'll be popped inside. So I traced around the inside of the mask pattern about 5/8 of an inch away from the edge, like this, and I cut it smaller. And this will now become the pattern for the inside batting piece. Oh, I almost forgot. Before I cut the pattern piece smaller, this pattern has little marks on it called notches. Basically, you cut little slits in your fabrics where each notch is, and it helps you line up your pieces later on. It's not totally necessary for such a small sewing project, but notches are an important thing in larger clothing projects, so it does help you learn how to use them. Anyway, back to the batting. I first placed these 2 old shoulder pads on top of the now modified, smaller pattern piece, trying to figure out how they could be placed so they'd cover it, and then I sewed them together like this. Once sewn together, I cut off that excess bit there, and then I placed the pattern on top and I cut around it to give myself this third piece. So, recapping, I've now got the front, back, and inside pieces. Now, I decided to personalize this mask as well, so I'm gonna do that now before I do any sewing. So, Lucci really hates this angry eye mask that I have, but I love it. I love that it has eyes on the front of it when you're sleeping. Anyway, to compromise, I want to make a mask that's slightly less scary. So I headed over to my favorite royalty-free graphics website, Storyblocks, and I found some sleepy eyes for my sleepy time mask. Very thematic, yes. These ones are great, so I downloaded them, opened the file up on Photoshop, and I got rid of some of the negative space between the eyes because I'm going to be cutting them out individually anyway. And I did the same thing as last episode, adding extra around the edges, but not for seam allowance this time, just to give me a line to cut around. Then I printed them out onto transfer paper and ironed them to the fabric in the same way as I did for the fox plushie from last episode, following the transfer paper's instructions to iron them onto the front piece of the eye mask. And I accidentally forgot that the white parts of this transfer paper go transparent. But no problem, I filled the eyes back in with a white paint pen that I have. And there we go. So with the front, back, and inside pieces done, now I can start constructing the eye mask. First, I measured some elastic from this part of my head, around the back, round to this part of my head. The elastic ends are probably like about 1 inch away from my eyes. With the front of the mask facing up, I placed the elastic onto the mask like so, making sure that the elastic wasn't twisted, and I sewed it onto the right sides of the front piece like this. Then I grabbed the back piece, placed it on top of the front piece, right sides together with the notches matching up, with the elastic tucked away inside, and I sewed the pieces together like this, leaving a gap up the top here. And then I turned the mask the right way around through this gap, and I used some scissors to push out the edges, and we're almost there. Lastly, I put the batting piece inside the mask like this. And then I closed up the gap by folding the raw edges of the fabrics inwards like this. And then I hand sewed the gap closed like this. And then I tried the eye mask on, and I think I placed the eyeballs a little too spaced apart. So, whoops, it's kind of just as freaky as the angry one. Well, I don't think Lucci is going to be a huge fan of this one either. Let's ask him. Lucci? Hey, yes. Lucci?
Yes?
I made a sleeping mask. Can you come tell me what you think of it?
Oh, you look so sad. You look like a sad bug.
No.
The eyes are so far. No, don't. You look too sad. You're going to look so sad every night.
Oh, I'm gonna get so many cuddles by just being like, Lucci.
It's creepy as well. Especially when you laugh. I don't like that at all. Oh my god, I'm going.
Do you like it better than the angry eyes mask?
I can't decide. Marginal. Margin call.
But the thing about this mask, eyes spaced too wide or not, is that it's very, very, very comfortable. It's more comfortable than any store-bought mask that I've ever gotten. So whatever, I'm gonna wear it to bed every night anyway. Sorry, Giovanni. Okay, so here's another one I made that isn't totally creepy. But shh, I haven't told Lucci about this one. And can we all just please make it a thing that we don't ever tell Lucci about this one? I'll just have to wear it when he's not around, because I've just been having way too much fun scaring him at nighttime when we go to bed.
Goodbye.
Lucci, don't you wanna hug me? Oh. Make sure to share, like, and subscribe. So, as I mentioned earlier in the video, Storyblocks is sponsoring this video. Storyblocks is a graphic services that provides high quality photos, vectors, icons, and more that are all royalty and copyright free. So you're free to use them in anything you want. I've been using them a lot myself in my YouTube videos, and they're awesome if you have any graphic design component to your work. They have a 400,000 strong image library that you get access to when you sign up. Storyblocks also has a new marketplace where designers and artists license their images, and being a Storyblocks member gives you 60% off all of these as well. Storyblocks is giving away a 7-day free trial so that you can try them out obligation free for yourself. Just click on my promo link in the description box below or go to storyblocks.com/YouTube and start downloading royalty-free images today. Thanks again to Storyblocks for sponsoring episode 1 and 2 of this mini series. And thanks to all of you for supporting the companies that support this channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all for part 3 and 4. Bye! Thank you to all of my supporters on Patreon who, along with the sponsor of this episode, make these videos possible. To become a Patreon supporter, go to patreon.com/Annika Victoria.